lost my enthusiasm for this job, I wouldn't be running again. I could have done other things. I could have, went off to the sunset and not willing to face the issues I face the next 4 years. Because I could have walked away and we did a good job, okay job for 16 years. But, and what drives me is the people. What drives me is, the kids in the schools. That's what drives me. It's not about anything else but that.
I met Tom Menino back in 1993 in his first mayoral run. I was with him one of the first times he walked into the mayor's office when he was acting mayor. And before that, he had been a city councilor, a district city councilor. And when he became acting mayor, he got to ride up the private elevator into the mayor's office. He couldn't believe that there was this whole pantry, that he had a personal bathroom in the mayor's office, the view of Quincy Market. He was a very regular guy who was kind of stunned by what he was suddenly given by becoming acting mayor. I don't think that he ever took that for granted.
This was the only thing he ever wanted to do. He thought he was the luckiest person in the world that it had happened, and he had no other ambitions. And that really shaped the way he approached the job. He was never auditioning for something else or looking down a road.
I think for his whole life, people underestimated him. There's a very poignant part of his memoir where he talks about being insulted in the first grade by a teacher who actually thought that he was misspelling his own name.
Everybody underestimated him. Everybody underestimated him when he first became mayor, that he, jumbled his words, that he couldn't give a good speech, that he would get in his own way, that he wouldn't be comfortable with power. But he very quickly showed that he could grasp the city.
It happened through sheer force of personality, He was a person with great passion for the city and great drive for leadership.
He had an amazing ability to connect with people in Boston. I mean, it's trite. I mean, everybody knows that by now, the whole business about half the city having met him personally. He was everywhere all the time. But he really did have an extraordinary talent of connecting with people, especially little kids, which used to always amaze me. You'd go to some event and kids would just, they'd just flock to Menino.
The last Halloween that he was in office, he invited me to come sit on his porch with him and watch the parade of neighborhood kids come by. And he was so happy. I know he was in some pain, but just the smile on his face when the kids came bounding up his stairs just was, he was in his element, just giving back to the kids in his neighborhood of Boston.
I mean, the thing that his critics will say is that, he was ruthless toward critics. He didn't tolerate dissent well. He didn't tolerate opposition well, The people who ran against him ended up, virtually run out of town in some cases,
Look, Tom Menino had a thin skin. There's no question about it. I mean, there were moments when I thought it might be translucent, it was so thin. And there were moments when I would write about him as a columnist where we would go weeks, if not longer, without speaking.
I mean, everybody talks about the fact that, we sort of had a favorite group of developers. And, one might say that there were developments in the city of Boston, particularly along the Greenway, that might have gone better, gone faster. But for the most part, he was fair and he was generous.
The thing I always loved about Tom Menino was the Filene's Basement stories. He would hear them all the time. Everyone would see Menino at Filene's Basement. So one day I asked him if I could go shopping in Filene's Basement with him. And so I meet him there. We go down, and immediately it's just apparent he's just a bargain hunting ninja. I mean, he knew everyone in there. He knew all the tricks. The old Filene's Basement in Downtown Crossing, everything had a date on it, and the longer it was there, the cheaper it would be. And we're there, and I mean, he's looking at socks. No, we'll put this over here in a couple of weeks. It'll be cheaper. And that was that moment where, the people of Boston would see the mayor in such a sort of candid, funny setting, everyone would approach him. They'd want to talk about, their problems. They'd want to ask him, how does this tie look on me, Mr. Mayor? And that was sort of him in that sort of common man mayor role.
I'm here with the people I love, to tell the city I love that I will leave the job that I love.
He was a great mayor. He was absolutely a great mayor. There isn't a neighborhood in the city that isn't a better place to live than it was in 1993.
Boston was his extended family. He was a doting grandfather, he was a good dad, he was an incredible, loyal husband, we all know that. But he treated the city like an extended family.
We used to talk with great frequency, and invariably my phone would ring at sometime between 5 and 6:30 in the evening, and it would be the mayor on the other end of the line, and he always had this way of sending a greeting. He'd just say, hello, and we'd just chat 10, 15 minutes, and there were nights when I knew that he was the only one left in City Hall. It would be 7 o'clock, and I could picture him sitting in that dark office, loving his job, looking out the window at Quincy Market, sitting in that table that he always sat at. He loved the city, and he wanted to be a great mayor. And the fact is, he was.